With a full moon in Libra coming up, you're going to hear a lot about karmic relationships. And this is because a full moon is a cultivation point in Libra. It's associated with love. But what exactly is a karmic relationship, and how do they work, and how do we know we're in one, and how can we break out of it if we want to? Well, to answer all that, we will be dissecting Gene Key 44, Karmic Relationships, from the book The Gene Keys, Embracing Your Higher Purpose by Richard Rudd. I will leave that link down below if you want to buy it. That link down below is my Amazon storefront, so I will earn commission if you buy through that link. I just want to be transparent about that. But in order to understand karmic relationships, you first need to understand the word fractals, because fractals is exactly how karmic relationships work. And fractals are patterns that endlessly repeat themselves in our natural systems. So many examples of this. There's the Fibonacci symbol, so I'll put that up there. And human fractals are an extension of this notion. Richard Rudd describes them as a web of invisible patterns that bind people together. Doesn't that sound like something? Karmic ties. And according to fractal geometry, no matter where you go in the fractal, you will find that same repeating pattern. And this is why people will run into the same types of relationships and the same type of people over and over again. It's because they're still in that same fractal pattern. They have not learned its lessons, so they have not increased their frequency yet and have not been able to break out of it. And human fractals operate at different levels. There's, the relationships that we have, families we have, our local communities, even our gene pools. So you do not have to be, the same sex or in a romantic relationship with someone in order for them to be a part of your fractal destiny, in order for that relationship to be a karmic relationship. Most of the relationships around us are karmic. Most of them are here in our lives because they are in harmony with the fractal pattern that we're in and the frequency that we're in. And the people around us can actually hold clues to what lessons you're supposed to learn and what your purpose is right now. They can hold clues to what you're breaking out of and what you're about to enter into. And the gene keys can actually track that. I'm pretty new to the gene keys, so I'm not exactly sure how, but I do know that the system is able to track that if you want to go off and do your own research. But Richard Rudd, when talking about, or when explaining human fractals and karmic relationships, he uses the metaphors of cells. Think of humans like cells that will meet up at different parts of the body at different times for certain purposes. Okay, there is a sort of master program that is choreographing that movement and the timing and the purpose, which is a trippy thing to digest, and we're getting a little esoteric there, but that's what Gene Key 44 kind of talks about. It's a whole system, and there's a master program that's choreographing it, kind of like a computer. Crazy enough, computers are made of fractal systems, and they have repeating patterns in it, and there is, a system that sort of choreographs it and makes sure it all runs a certain way. And what can happen is, computers can get viruses, and the system can get thrown off. And that is a shadow side to, fractal relationships, karmic relationships, is that system can get thrown off, and it is right now. And that is called interference. Interference patterns can pop up in many different ways for many different reasons. An example of an interference pattern would be, being born into a family lineage full of just powerless women. And you, being a woman born into a lineage full of powerless women, you weren't taught how to see the power within yourself. So you seek it out by trying to find it in other people and getting with people who are powerful. But then, since you don't have power within yourself, you end up getting dominated, you end up getting eclipsed. And so then you're like, okay, I break up with that person. Let me find someone who's nicer. And ooh, good, they're even more powerful. But even though they're nice about it, you're still getting dominated. You're still getting eclipsed because you haven't found your power yet. And feeling powerless then becomes the interference, and seeking power in others then becomes a pattern. And you will continue this pattern of searching for power in other people instead of finding it within yourself until you break it. And you break that by, like I said, finding it within yourself. And when you find that power within yourself, your frequency heightens and you unalign with the, with everyone vibrating at that lower frequency, and you start to attract in people who are more aware, more conscious, and in alignment with your now heightened frequency. And that is because the universe will always rebalance itself, and it will always clean out the interference. Like a computer, it will always want to reboot itself, and it will try to clear out the viruses. Now, the universe will do this by increasing the intensity of your fractal pattern until you are forced to face it. So in this case, the universe will increase the intensity of the, people, of how powerful the people are, and how dominated and eclipsed, and how dominating and eclipsing they can be. It will increase that intensity until you are forced to stand up for yourself and forced to then find your power and surrender to the healing, surrender to, surrender to healing, and then break out of that pattern. Now, this is not to say that, it's your fault you're caught up and stuck in toxic relationships. That is not what I'm saying. Our collective choreography, our collective, fractal pattern is out of sync itself. It is facing a virus itself. It's facing many interferences itself. And so the collective is out of sync with itself, with each other, and with the universe. So we also are out of sync. The fractal system is out of sync. It's all a domino effect. So no, it's not your fault. This is why we end up with dysfunctional families and global chaos. Okay, there's already this choreography of chaos in play that unfortunately we were born into. And I fully believe that this year, how crazy March 2023 astrology is, or was. It's April now. You know how crazy March 2023 astrology was. And we have a full moon in Libra coming up. So I truly believe that the universe is trying to correct itself now. That's why people are awakening. That's why spirituality is popping off. That's why people are getting more conscious. Because in order for the universe to correct that interference and to fix its system, it has to start on the small individual level. Okay, it has to start with fixing the individual and making the individual aware. Because if the individual is off, then the pattern is off and everything's off. So going back to my point, it's funny. I think the Libra full it's so perfect that we're talking about this and Libra full moon is coming up, because the Libra energy is all about balancing everything out. Okay, and the full moon can be about clearing old systems so that way you can reboot it. And like I said, the universe, if it wants to clear out the system on a big level, it's going to start with the smallest component in the universe, which is the individual, the human individual. So that's why when there's a Libra full moon, we all get aware and conscious of our relationships, because the universe is like, okay, let's give them that kind of energy so they can become conscious of their relationships and start to correct it, so we can all correct the bigger, grander cosmic scheme playing out, the bigger, grander cosmic, storyline playing out. The universe literally, with the full moon in Libra, is trying to correct that system. I don't know if that makes any fucking sense because I feel like we're getting super esoteric right now, and it could take a while to understand and grasp these concepts, and that's okay. This video will be here for you to replay over and over again until you grasp it. And you can also check out that book, like I said, and read it for yourself and try to interpret it for yourself. Going back to my point where we were talking about how As you master the lessons brought to you by your karmic relationships, your frequency will heighten and you'll begin to grow out of your old connections and attract in a higher frequency and higher connections. You'll attract in people who operate with more awareness and who are more transient, and then your reality shifts into a higher reality, a higher frequency, more transient, magical frequency. It is that pattern, that program, that is why people lose all their friends and their relationships whenever they level up in life. You are literally energetically not connected to those people anymore. They are not in alignment with your fractal pattern. You are forming a new pattern because you're ready to attract in these different people. So it's a tough pill to swallow, but it's like we see that over and over again, and that's just an example of someone leveling or entering a higher frequency. That's something we can literally see. So if you see people, suddenly losing all their friends, they're not in alignment with their friends' energy right now. They're leveling up. That's why. And so, with that being said, I think when you are drawing in those connections, just think of it as a sign that you're attracting higher frequency patterns overall, and take it as a sign that the universe is correcting itself because you're learning and you're getting out of alignment with anything, and it's because you're learning your lesson and you're getting into alignment with what's higher and better for you, your higher self, the higher vibration, the higher expression of something. It's not easy for us to do that, to level up, to break out of it, to become aware too. So if you have an experience like that, hang on to that, reflect about that, journal about that. What did that feel like? What was that like? So you can recognize it when it happens again, because we will over time and throughout our lives level up and get more conscious and become more aware. Even the most amazing astrologer out on the universe is still finding a higher level of consciousness to get to and a higher place of awareness to get to. There's still room for that kind of growth. Something that I thought was interesting while I was reading up on the gene keys is that we can actually smell the people that we're meant to be with. And I'm not talking about you smell them through your nose. You can smell them through the pores in your body, through your nervous system. Something about their scent or their musk seems familiar. It smells good. It ignites something in your body because your body's oh, they're part of our fractal destiny. They're part of our karma. We do know them. This is a frequency that is in alignment. You can literally know that through the pores in your body and your nervous system. It's so interesting. I can talk about this topic and go. We touched a bit on what karmic relationships are and how we can break them. And just to quickly recap, how do we know when we're in a karmic relationship? Well, all relationships are karmic. If someone is in your life, they're there for a reason. And what is a karmic relationship? Well, it's a relationship that is the result of your fractal pattern. So you can see what your fractal pattern is based on the people you keep attracting over and over and over again. And how do these karmic relationships work? Well, they are constantly repeating themselves until we break it. Well, how do we break one? Well, you need to learn the lessons that these relationships bring, so that way you can heighten your frequency and attract in a higher frequency relationship that is in way more aligned with you. So yeah, that was me describing how karmic relationships work. I hope that you enjoyed this and that this kind of gave you something to go off of, so that way you're not just hearing the word karmic relationship without having an idea of what it actually is and how it works. So I hope this gives you some idea. There's so many different types of takes out there. Like I said, this is coming from the perspective of the gene keys, but I'm sure Vedic astrology has their own thing to say, and many cultures have other things to say, and we should always be open-minded and respectful, because people are allowed to believe what they want to believe, and it's all true. Call it what you want. None of us are denying its existence at the end of the day. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I really enjoyed making this video, and I do want to make more videos that are just like, you know, us talking about like occult topics. It doesn't always have to be like astrology, tarot, and what the transits are. Honestly, I get bored of that sometimes. So I would love to hear what you guys want to know and what kind of content you would like to see. And yeah, I'll see if that's something I'm down to make. But anyway, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoy this, and I'll see you next time. Bye.